Greetings to everybody. Welcome to all our brothers and sisters to the literature reading sessions. We are reading from the Talks on the Gita by Vinobha Bhave. We are on the chapter The Yoga of Constancy. Sadhana, the practice for a happy ending. In this, there were several things that have been talked about the samskaras and devotion and everything. Before we go on to the reading, I just wanted to share a few thoughts that I have read about devotion. Because eventually it feels like in the journey, we have to arrive at this state of devotion where the self is in the state of utmost humbleness and it automatically bows down in prayer to the ultimate presence that is within our own self. So the Bhakti Sutras say that devotion means knowing the body as the temple of the divine, and it is important to take care of it. It is abode of the divine, house of the divine. You need to keep it clean, fresh, and keep it worthy of divine presence. When we are sick, we cannot really worship. So, devotion is not renunciation. In this state of devotion, whatever is meaningful will remain, and whatever is not needed will drop off. Because a lot of times, people think that we don't have to take care of the body, that we shouldn't eat good food, we shouldn't wear good clothes. That is all our own misinterpretation of what it is. If we look at, there were princesses, prince who were all devoted. They lived normal life. So we should not misinterpret the state of being of devotion as the state of vairagya. We think that vairagya means we give up everything. It is not that. Vairagya is a state of being where you recognize the presence of divinity inside your heart so strongly that achieving that goal becomes more important. So, whatever we do, we don't deviate from that path of that duty. It's like for a mother, whatever she does, she doesn't deviate from the path of taking care of the child, a real mother. So, also, a true devotee never deviates from the path of his goal, but yet he takes care of his body because he recognizes the body as divinity itself. So, in devotion, accepts as you are and acknowledge. It acknowledges your essential needs without unnecessary suffering. Because sometimes in certain traditions that you see that people beat themselves up and in the name of devotion, in the name of love for God. But that is not needed. Devotion emphasizes that the natural falling away of what is not needed and retains what is meaningful. And it is a state of being where it is very sensitive and it accepts the beauty of life and recognizes the divine presence in nature and everything. It allows us to live harmoniously. It does not advocate this self inflicted pain. But sometimes we think like we have to uh, cry so much or listen to a sad song and be in remembrance. We don't need to listen to a sad song and be in remembrance. We can be joyful and be in remembrance. So, a true state of devotion makes unnecessary things fall away. And sometimes, even after achieving these high states of being, a true devotee continues to respect the scriptures, the social norms. What does that mean? Because one time I remember Chariji Master saying that at the highest level, like at the level of Lord Krishna or Babuji or the great masters level, they can do anything and nothing affects them personally. But they live life with such discipline because others are following them. So, this true devotion does not allow us to utilize our spiritual realization for our own self, to enhance our own ego, but we live to assist Him in His work. And state of devotion is a very natural and effective way of spirituality, because only when we are devoted to the goal, devoted to the master that is taking us towards the goal, the path keeps clearing up. What happens due to devotion is state of viveka becomes enhanced, so the vision is clear. If I am devoted, it doesn't help your guru or it doesn't help the ultimate. It only helps me to have the clarity. Because sage Narada says that in the state of devotion, it's offering all your actions to the ultimate. And he even says that we have to be, it is in a state that you are very distressed, even if a slight moment you are forgetful of the Lord. There is a song once I heard. It says that Beet gaye din bhajan bina. It's like this day has passed and I didn't even have time to be in remembrance and to be devoted to sing praises of you. So this is coming from the great sages, that even a moment that is lost is to be regretted for. A moment that is lost in remembrance can be regretted. So that's where our solution was to be in connection. Daji says, anytime you get involved so much, connect yourself. More and more, why we are disconnecting ourselves is when we don't have energy, we have a lot of negative thoughts. When I observe myself, when my prana is depleted, I am continuously thinking negative. Why I'm tying this is that ties to taking care of the body. When you don't rest, when you don't take care of your body, and when you're exhausted, you continuously have negative thoughts. And when those negative thoughts are happening, instead of being in a state of remembrance, we are in the state of complaint. We don't have to complain about others, we complain about the Lord, the divine Himself. Why are you not giving me attention? Why are you not taking care of me? Why are you not responding to me? So, but when we truly take care of the body and when that body is rested, the mind is able to come to the stillness and calmness. Now we are able to perceive the true state of devotion, where our focus is shifting from our own personal happiness to seeking the happiness of the beloved. Where is the happiness of the beloved? When you are joyful, he is joyful. It is like children. And the children, if in the house, if the children are crying, the mother is not happy. She's distressed. She's doing so much work, but she's not peaceful. Same way, when I am at peace in my heart by taking care of myself, then the Lord is at peace. And in a different angle, Sage Narada describes devotion as a state of surrender. And he says, like we are like a hollow vessel, like a bamboo flute, which allows the divine to flow with no obstruction. And that ties with keeping the self purified. And that involves our sadhana. And also, another sage said that we have to understand True evolution has started in us when we evolve from our individual consciousness to an universal consciousness. We are not, when we are progressing, it is not just Uma that is progressing, it is the entire universal consciousness to whatever extent is shifting because all the consciousness is one. All the drops are one ocean. A dirty drop, when it sheds its dirt, it is just ocean and it realizes it is not alone. It is a part of the universe. Until that realization happens in us, we all struggle. Our entire struggle is this individual consciousness. Our entire struggle is all about dealing with people, whether it's a husband or a child or a friend or colleagues or other devotees, or we're all fighting. Each drop is fighting in itself with the other drop, thinking that I am greater, I am bigger, I am better. But a drop is a drop. When that drop drops the impurities, it doesn't exist. So this is our journey. For that, sadhana is the solution. And when can that happen is when we let go of the ego, then divine reveals itself, and only then bliss and joy happens. That is why this 11 circles of ego, from 6th to 7th point to 11th point, we struggle with our ego. When ego ends, and when the Guru makes you cross the Sahasradala Kamal, true joy begins. He makes you experience the joy a little bit and makes you pass over to the godly region of reality, where you start to experience universal consciousness. So, this is our journey. And so, today we are reading to inculcate, these are the thoughts of Vinobha Bhave. To inculcate good and pure samskaras, one must always ruminate over noble thoughts. So, continuously, our thoughts have to be pure. So, what is a check on ourselves? The moment we are having negative thoughts, we know somewhere some cleansing is going on and we are depleted of energy. And the moment we clean ourselves, we meditate and regain calmness, the thought pattern changes. And then you know, okay, my condition has shifted. Now I'm able to feel love for others. So, ruminate over noble thoughts. Let the hands be busy in doing pure and good deeds, remembrance of the divine within, and performance of swadharma without hands engaged in service and vikarma in the mind. All this should continue day in and day out without any lapse. Look at Gandhiji. He spins every day on his spinning wheel. He insists that everybody should spin daily. Why? Will it not do if we spin for the cloth we need whenever it suits us? But then that spinning would be an activity for a practical purpose. Whereas there is spirituality in daily spinning. It reflects an urge to do something for the country. That yarn daily links us to God in the form of the poor. Daily spinning is an affirmation of one's fellowship with God in the form of poor. This was in the days of Independence Days of India. The doctor has prescribed medicine in particular doses. Will it serve the purpose if we gulp it down all at once? It will be plain stupidity. The body should be restored to health through daily samskara of the medicine. The same holds good for life. Take an example of gradual abhishek on the image of Lord Shiva. It is my favorite illustration. I used to watch it every day when I was a child. 2 buckets of water might be trickling down the image in 24 hours. So, what are they trying to convey here? It is like sometimes people say, I meditated this day for 2 hours. I was on a silent retreat for 12 hours, 2 days. And then I came back, I am back into my own world. That is not useful. That's what the master here, Vinobha Bhave is talking about. That is why Babaji Maharaj has given us a daily practice. It is like trickling water on Lord Shiva. Everything can be poured at once, but they are putting one drop at a time. So also the practice has to be embedded 24 into our 24 hours lifestyle, one day at a time, and then keep moving and keep moving. And that is true spirituality. Why not pour 2 buckets of water all at once on it? I get the reply to this at that time itself. Water must not be poured at once. It should trickle down drop by drop uninterruptedly. That is what makes it an act of worship. So, devotion, sadhana, love, it has to be drop, one drop, like the oil drop falling into this light and keeping the light alive. Sadhana has to be like that. There should be continuous flow of the same samskara 24 hours a day, every year, even throughout the cycle of births and deaths, each moment and each hour, each day and each night, each month and each year, even in each birth, the same good samskara should be there. For us, what is that good samskara that the masters are trying to create in us? Is the state of being of love, and the state of being in that state of being of love, we are able to recognize the divine in others. That is where we struggle. We see the divine in ourselves with the sadhana, and we think we are only divine. And to be able to perceive that that same divinity exists in the other person too is what true realization is about. The divine stream of good samskaras should flow in this way throughout life, forever without interruption. Then only we can reach our destination and hoist our flag there. The stream of samskaras must flow in one single direction only. Here he's talking about when he is using the word samskara, it is not the traditional samskara that we are talking about. He's talking about good actions, good thoughts. If the rainwater falling on a hilltop flows down the hill in several different directions, it does not form a river. But if it flows in one single direction, it becomes a stream which gradually grows in size and eventually becoming a river that finally reaches the sea. Water which takes one single direction reaches the sea, while that which takes many directions soon dries up and is lost. This also happens in the case of good samskaras. If they come and go, what use are they? It is like our practice. I do practice one day and don't do the practice the other day. Fourth day, maybe I do half. That is exactly what he's saying. Then it is of no use. It will dry up. When it is continuously happening, it becomes a river to reach the shore. This also happens in the case of good samskaras. If they come and go, of what use are they? It is only when the stream of good samskaras flow continuously throughout the life in one single direction that death will be found to be a source of supreme bliss, because you have done your part, you have done your duty, and you are not worried about the future because every moment you have acted in remembrance for the good of others. A trekker who does not unduly linger in the way, does not yield to the temptations in the way, and continues to walk along the path, doggedly reaches the mountain top, throws off his backpack, and experiences the fresh breeze blowing there. The joy that he experiences is beyond the imaginations of others. Day and night, this fight goes on. In short, death will be a matter of joy when there is continuous performance of swadharma outside, while inwardly the mind is being purified through devotion, when the streams of vikarma and karma flow within and without. That is why the Lord says, remember me all the time and fight. He also refers to one who is ever absorbed in that. When love for the Lord prevails your whole being, when your whole life is informed with that love, you will then always rejoice in things sacred. Evil urges and tendencies would never appear before you. Noble resolves and noble thoughts would germinate in the mind, and good deeds would follow naturally and effortlessly. It is true that good deeds become natural when one always remembers the divine within. But the Lord's command is to keep on striving. We have to make continuous efforts. That is what I also said, that somebody asked, like, I've been practicing this one particular technique to get rid of it, but seems like only part of it is gone, and I still, this weakness keeps coming up once in a while. It doesn't matter. We keep striving for it, because ultimately it is your effort that matters. And we don't even realize we have mastered it. And when we actually mastered it, we don't even remember that weakness anymore. Because the effort is what is rewarded, not the result. We're not looking at the result. Saint Tukaram says, day and night we are required to fight with the world without and the mind within. The conflict is going on relentlessly. This is what we all struggle. We are struggling with the world. It is not that you will win every battle. One has to persevere till the end to win the war. Perseverance is the key, and that is why Babaji Maharaj keeps talking about this quality of perseverance. Sometimes we get restless when we don't have a good meditation. We wake up and it's like, what am I wasting my life with this? No, you have to persevere day after day after day. And that reminds us of that one story that we heard before, where this boy is praying for money and God says, there is a rock there on the mount, go push it. The boy thinks once he pushes that rock, he'll find mines of gold under the rock, and he starts pushing. He does it for 1 month, as the master says, and no sign of even the rock moving, and he gets frustrated, comes back. And the master says, yes, now look at your strength. Your muscle is so strong. Now go work. So that is how the divine laws are. The divine laws are different than what we think in this human world of fairness, unfairness, justice, unjust. It is the final result of the war that counts. During this war, we shall win and lose many a time. But loss is no cause for dejection. When a stone breaks at the 20th blow, it does not mean that the previous 19 blows had been in vain. In fact, they were preparing ground for the success of the 20th blow. To feel dejected means to lose faith in divinity. Divine is always there to support and protect you. Have faith in the ultimate. To develop self confidence in the child, the mother lets him wander here and there, but she keeps watch. She does not let him fall. If he starts tottering, she is there to lift him up in her arms. Divinity too is watching you. And this Babaji reiterates again and again in the whispers. He tells us, we are observing our abhyasis, we are following them. But we don't believe it. But that is the truth. The child doesn't believe the mother is watching, doesn't even know. Especially when they're doing bad things, the mother always knows. He holds in his hand the string of your life's kite. Sometimes he pulls it taut, while sometimes he lets it loose. But be assured that he himself is holding the string in his hands. Sometimes, when truly bad things happen to us, it is difficult to believe in that. Say, I lose a family member, I lose a child, I lose my husband. Anything like that happens, it is very difficult. But still, we know what at that moment is we need to remember the day begins, and the day that has begun has to end. Any beginning has an end. Night begins, night comes to an end. Day begins, day comes to an end. Life begins, life comes to an end. But a new life is born. Because I lost something, a new life is born out of me with a new destiny. So that faith we have to have and continue with life with positiveness that yes, he is holding my hand. I may not know it, but he's holding my hand. But be assured that he himself is holding the string in his hands. To teach swimming in a river, one end of a rope is tied to the tree on the bank and the other end is tied to the learner's waist. And then he is thrown into the waters. Trainers are there in the river to take care of him. The novice struggles initially, but in the end masters the art of swimming. Divinity is teaching us the art of living in this way. We will stop here. Today before meditation, I wanted to read a small 2 lines from the Whisper, which I read yesterday. And after reading this, I meditated, trying to imitate this, trying to imbibe what Babaji Maharaj is saying. And it was very deep. Sitting was very deep because he gives some instructions here. Wednesday, July 5th, 2010 a.m. Remain motionless and centered in the heart of silence. Bliss is beyond feelings. So, thinking to feeling, to experience the bliss at beyond that Sahasradal Kamal, we transcend feelings also. When we transcend the heart region, we move into the mind region, into the feeling field. You transcend the mind region, you move into the reality field, bliss field. A heart to heart in this holy space cannot give room to sense activities. In this holy space, senses are withdrawn. A heart to heart in this holy space cannot give room to sense activities, which must be made dormant. That's what happens in meditation. We are making our senses dormant. First, we begin with pratyahara, withdrawal. And what is helping us make these senses dormant? Pranahuti. The moment we receive transmission, the senses are becoming dormant. They're going into a little sleep state. The computer, when I don't touch it, it goes into dormant. Same thing when I don't touch my senses and the attention is diverted towards the self, the soul. That is the true state of Vairagya. That is what Master is trying to create in us in the very first sitting when he diverts the flow of the transmission, our dhara, thought flow to Atma Chakra, the soul point. So, a heart to heart in this holy space cannot give room to sense activities, which must be made dormant. Here is peace and harmony. By successive waves, it pervades the place, which then becomes imbued and feeds on the divine essence. After these successive waves, we get imbued in that condition. In these privileged moments, when the soul has its due place, the being of flesh quietens down and prays. So actually, when we are able to move into that prayerful state, when everything is quiet and we all feel like we are drowned, right? And we are longing. When you keep that longing and we are drowned, we move into that true prayerful state. Because ultimately, if you really feel when in front of the ultimate, you are just in bowing down prayerful state. That state was what happens. These moments of complete unity are rare. These are very precious moments. That's why we experience them once in a while. It doesn't happen. And Babaji says, the deepest being must keep them in memory, preciously like priceless jewels. The heart must remember that state of being like a precious jewel. Only then you will be able to um, want to long for it more. So it's a beautiful whisper. I thought before meditation, if we read it, we can try and imbibe it. Whisper is dated Wednesday, July 5th, 2010 a.m. Let us all meditate now.